I've admired a lot of those pictures from the moon, and I found out that they were taken with the Hasselblad 500C, and you've actually shot that camera, so
Yeah, I own the
yeah,
500C. That's a rocking camera. Yeah, it made it to the moon and back. You can tell too, like when you hold that thing,
it's sturdy.
like it's there's no batteries. It's like all like mechanical. You know what I mean? It's old
Yeah,
school. It's from like the one I had was like in the 60s. I want to say maybe it was 62 or 65 or something. Like it was pretty old. It had, but it was a medium format camera. Like it could shoot medium format. It took standard 220 or 220, yeah,
120.
120 or 220. It
Yeah,
depends which back or which thing you had loaded in it. But yeah, you could do both. You could have separate backs for it and stuff. And it was the kind that you would look down into, and it would have like the prism inside of it, so you could look down through and see the mirror
yeah,
and
that's
look
always
through the
cool. You
front
can
of
get
it.
like a different perspective in a way.
Yeah,
So
and back in those days, like that was like as close as you could get to seeing the picture. You know what I mean? Like it really kind of gave
yeah,
you, and it had a cool like magnifier that you could hold up. It was like it would just pop up in the middle, and you look through this little magnifying glass, and that's how you'd like zoom in. It
nice.
was very like antiquated feeling in now in 2000. I guess I had that maybe in 2015, 2016. It was very antiquated feeling like for a modern day. You know what I mean? Like it was not something that you would normally use, but at the
Yeah,
same time, like it really can make like a really artsy rendering, and I feel like some of the pictures that I made on it are some of my favorite pictures. Like it's really
yeah, I feel.
fantastic camera.
Yeah, those Zeiss lenses. I've looked at a lot of those
Yeah, it
pictures
shoots a
online.
Zeiss lens too. That's the other
Yeah,
thing. It's a 80 millimeter, but it's it's a
so the standard one for it.
yeah, which but 80 on the medium format, whatever the math is, it's like probably like a 50 or a 60, something like that. So it's
Yeah,
more like a standard kind of lens, but it gives you like tons of depth of field because I think it was an f2.8 lens that I had on it. It was an f2, but still f2.8 in medium format world is bokeh heavy.
yeah,
If
yeah, for
you know what I
sure.
mean, like you can get a lot out of it. And
Yeah,
a couple other things that I really liked about it is it's kind of like because it went to the moon and it's kind of
it
like an
has a mystique.
iconic,
Hmm.
it's like an iconic device, and a lot of like fashion photographers back in the 50s and 60s and 70s used it a lot. Like it was major in the fashion industry. So like when you go out with it and you try to make like modern day pictures and stuff, like you can still get more of a classic look out of it. And I really like that. I really like that camera a lot. It's a really fun camera to own, but like it's not very practical.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? First of all, it shoots film. Second of all, the lens, I mean, I'm kind of a wimpy guy, but the lens is sharp. And, like, when I would focus the lens and turn it, like, occasionally I'd cut myself on it because it was, like, rigid. Like, the edges of it. Like, you would get hurt trying to make this picture, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
getting hurt by your camera is a definite downside.
Yeah, that was a downside to it. Maybe I just needed, like, more calluses on my fingers or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a cool looking camera though. Like, it had that
Oh,
like
yeah.
shiny
Yeah.
silver metal
Yeah,
thing
if you
going on.
just want to look at a
Yeah,
black box, that's one of the best looking ones, yeah.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, that seems like a fun camera to kind of take around, just for
It's kind of a
personal use.
pricey thing just to have as a toy still, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have one currently, so I don't know what they're going for now. But like,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
How
it
do you like
costs.
the square format? Do you like square format?
Well, yeah. I mean, so that's one of the things that's cool about it is it gives you the square format, and it also gives you like the medium format look. So it's way different than like shooting on one of the other cameras I own. It gives you like a way different perspective, and it feels old, but it's still
Yeah.
new because the content in the picture is new. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you're gonna shoot a film camera, it kind of makes a lot of sense in today's like Instagram world where everything's like vertical or square, and you can just see more on a phone to maybe shoot a square medium format camera. I think that's pretty cool actually. I know a lot of other cameras you can kind of like flip it to vertical or something like that, so you can shoot horizontal, but then still be shooting a vertical frame like
Right.
the Mamiyas and stuff. But I think shooting squares is pretty fun. You think about
Yeah, it's really
compositions a little
fun.
bit, so maybe like a
Yeah,
cool
it can spark
yeah,
some creativity sometimes because you're doing something a little different than normally.
yeah, for sure.
The other thing about that camera is there's no like metering or any of like the modern. Obviously, there's no autofocus or anything like that. But there's not even really good metering in it. So you kind of have to
Yeah, so
either know it or bring another camera with you or have a light meter or something to figure it out. Like if you just know,
yeah,
if you're just walking to a
yeah.
scene,
To,
you're
to
like,
me,
this
that
is
sounds
whatever.
yeah, that doesn't sound fun. I don't want to carry around a light meter or
Well, you
rely on
can
like a Sunny
use the app
16.
on your phone, or yeah, do the
Yeah,
2016. But
all
yeah,
right.
you want to get it pretty close. Like you don't want to be way off on your film shots, obviously.
Yeah, but the metering problem wasn't just your camera. It was like kind of like a problem with all the Hasselblads in a way, or do you know?
I don't recall it even having a meter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't even think it had one.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was an old camera, and
Wow.
it definitely felt like old. And maybe it did have a meter, and mine just was broken. But like
Yeah.
I'd always like bring another camera with me, and I'd kind of shoot out the scene first and check out my settings that I shot it with, and then I would bring in the Hasselblad, set it up to that or somewhere near that, and then
Yeah.
I would take the shots. So that I
Yeah,
would
I know
be
you
relatively
also own
close.
the RZ67. Do you prefer the Hasselblad or the
Man, that
RZ67?
RZ67 is ginormous.
So yeah,
It's so big.
easier
It's
to
like
carry around.
10-pound camera just with the camera. Like
Yeah.
it's absurdly large. So like, yeah, I'd way rather the Hasselblad is like for a medium format camera. It's pretty sleek still. Like I can easily get it into my Ona bag with a couple modern cameras with no trouble.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of I see a lot of younger photographers gravitating towards the RZ67, and it's making the used price for that camera go up quite a bit. I mean, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
think
that was the Model 2. That was Annie Leibovitz's like workhorse through the 80s and 90s.
yeah,
Like she
yeah. It's
shot
had a
everything.
resurgence with a lot of like younger
Well,
film
probably because they've been
photographers.
watching her, and she did all that stuff with it, like for Rolling Stone and all that kind of stuff. That camera
Yeah.
is iconic.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of had the resurgence with like Petra Collins and like a couple of these young sort
You
of
can
fashion
get great
photographers.
results on it, especially for fashion kind of stuff.
But yeah, I think the Hasselblad is a little bit overlooked nowadays.
And it's older, you know what I mean? It's a lot older. Like the RZs were like in their prime. They were like in like I think they made them all the way into the 2000s.
Oh wow.
But I mean, they still make the 500C sort of. I think they still have some sort of version of it, but it's still antiquated. It's not like they don't put bells and whistles in that thing. It's just it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just a very simple machine that if you point it in the right direction and you set up the settings right, can deliver remarkable results.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say if you love square images and you're posting them to Instagram and you want a camera that isn't quite as heavy as an RZ67, this could be
Yeah, if you want a pretty small, portable, like medium format camera, this is a good choice.
yeah, it's cool to look at too.
Yeah,
It's a
and
cool
when you
looking
pull it
camera.
out with your client or something, they're like, "Whoa, what are you doing? What is that thing?" It always
Yeah.
it always brings up like a heritage of photography, and it gives you something to talk to with your clients, if nothing else.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. Do you have anything, any other insights on it?
No, I love it. It's a great camera.
All right, yeah.
Or your fingers. Yeah.